Today's episode of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Gamefly. Coming up, Christopher Nolan returns to Gotham for a third time in The Dark Knight Rises.
Things may look a little differently today. We're not shooting on green because we lucked into getting into a screening of The Dark Knight Rises. And by we, I mean these guys.
Sorry, Dan.
The important thing to know is because I haven't seen it, we're going to be extra cautious here on the about not spoiling it for anyone. So this is coming out before many of you have had a chance to see it, and you can feel...
I'm sure a lot of people went midnight, though.
I'm sure a lot of you have seen it.
You can talk to them,
but
right?
many of... No.
Hey, those of you who've seen it.
No.
I just wanted to say a couple of things about the ending.
So, rest assured that it's not going to be spoiled for me. It's not going to be spoiled for you.
The ending is a pretty big thing to talk about.
It is,
people, I'm sure we'll be talking about it in weeks to come.
And you could just go, yeah, that when we get close.
All
so
right.
Just let us know.
I'll be your guardians.
Yes.
So, Dark Knight Rises, the third in the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. This time, Bane is the villain. Tom Hardy is Bane. Catwoman is in it. Anne Hathaway is Catwoman. You guys saw it in IMAX.
If you have a chance, do that.
And
a true IMAX.
Right. Of all the and Mike, what's the website where you can see the IMAX theaters? You know it.
I just Googled it.
You just Google it?
Google it.
You can find out what is a true IMAX screen or
Bing
not.
it. Your choice.
And I believe out of all the movies that have been shot in IMAX since The Dark Knight, Mission Impossible, Transformers 2 and 3, Ghost Protocol, I believe this has more IMAX shot stuff
50 minutes,
than
they say, right?
any other of those things. Yeah, and I think that is more than...
It is a lot. It's
a lot.
oftentimes in that frame.
So there
and it is worth every penny of extra
gorgeous
ticket price for you to see it in IMAX, honestly.
So maybe 200, 300 pennies?
and I mean, the sound system also in those IMAX theaters are off the charts, and you want the best sound you can.
And there's not many bad seats because it's like all that's real stadium seating, so it's not like somebody's in front of you. You know what I mean? There's some.
Well, there's bad seats, but not with heads in your
There's
way.
artistry also. I want to talk about this before we even get to the movie. There's artistry.
More of this kind of stuff. This is
Dan's safe.
Yeah.
There's artistry in the ending. No. There's artistry in how Nolan employs IMAX in this movie. Even more, I just went back and watched the Blu-ray version of Dark Knight before seeing this, and in the Blu-ray version, it uses there are moments when you go into IMAX, and even though obviously my television isn't that big, you can see when it uses, and he uses it to great effect in that movie. But I think here it's even the next level of that. There are long sequences, big action sequences that have it, and that's spectacular. But he also uses it to like punctuate flashbacks, for example, or dream sequences that like where in a normal movie you might use a filter on the lens or a color palette that's different to designate that. We pop into IMAX to designate it, and it's really effective and really beautiful. And I think if you don't see it in IMAX, you're kind of missing out on some of that.
That being said, I wonder if every action sequence is a dream in this movie.
It's possible.
No, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
All right, Alex.
It actually happens.
Dark Knight Rises.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Been there, done that. Have the hat.
I have the hat. This is crew hat. Crew hat. That's my cred. I don't know. My friend worked on it. Not in any. I mean, she was hair. Anyway,
all right, here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I really liked this movie.
Huh. Interesting.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
Really liked it.
Didn't love. You're not saying love.
Didn't love it.
Okay. All right.
Didn't love it. Loved the last 5 minutes. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I won't tell you what happens, but literally like,
Yeah, I've heard of this.
Why is it stopping now? I mean, literally, like, why? I wanted to just go, just roll another 2.5 hours, just see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready for that experience.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to love in the movie, and I think that I think that the problem is it fulfills everything that I wanted Dark Knight Rises to fulfill. It doesn't do any more than that. So my expectations were met, and I had very high expectations. But because it didn't do any more than that, and it was a little bit like, there's some stuff. I'm trying to figure out how to say this stuff without. Okay, so a couple of things. I mean, it's gorgeously shot. The IMAX stuff is just phenomenal. Everybody in it is amazing. He doesn't cast bad actors. It just doesn't happen.
Well, Adam West. No.
Adam West.
Adam West's cameo is a big
Spoiler
shocker.
alert. And I really liked Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, except when she was fighting as Catwoman, because it's just very much the thing that I hate, which is like, the sexy, slender girl. It's really difficult to convince me that she's beating big guys up. And I never believed that she was beating big guys up. And I have this problem with tons of Hollywood movies.
I think you said that about Ghost Protocol as well.
Oh, yeah, the Ghost Protocol. The model fight was like, why are
Maybe
two
it's only
models
when you
fighting?
see it in IMAX that it causes you.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It keeps popping in IMAX, and I'm like, really? You had me at the 2, 3, 1 or whatever the fuck. So that was a little. I mean, there's not a ton of that, so it was sort of like, okay, I'm just gonna let it go, whatever. But then I was like, I don't really buy Batman fighting in this movie. I don't know why. It didn't feel like it was happening. It was very weird. I don't know.
Do you have that problem?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna ask you guys a question that will attack that, but I will first. Do you have,
oh yeah. I mean, the sound is amazing in this movie. I mean, it is a great film. It's a film that I fell in massive like with, but I just I don't. For me, The Dark Knight with the Joker, like all that, just really came together. And with this, it's like it's there. It's all there. And there is a character, the character that Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays, 100% behind him. Love that character. I was like, I'm in, and I even wanted more. I was like, please do these things, and it was like, well, I can't. He didn't do that. I was like, you should do these things. You should do these things. It's hard to say that.
I'm glad you said that's great. We all very much appreciate that. Dark Knight.
And there were twists that I didn't see coming. Avoid spoilers. There were things that seemed, as soon as they happened, I was like, oh, of course, that's why that happens, or that's what this. You know what I mean? But
sounds like Dark Knight over Dark Knight Rises for you.
I mean, look. I'm gonna have to see this again. I mean, it's like, I can't say that now. I gotta see it again. The last 5 minutes of this movie over any of the other Batman experiences ever. I mean, the
Actually, it sounds like
the
tone of what you're saying to me, I relate to, because it sounds a little bit like when your expectations are this high for this kind of movie, sometimes, like, the entire time you were probably like, I'm seeing Batman. Not right now, I'm seeing Batman. I'm seeing Batman. This is the action scene in Batman.
There was so
much
much
This is the second action scene in
Yeah,
Batman.
exactly.
So you kind of have to see it again to, like, finally watch the movie.
This is the first sequence in IMAX.
The thing you should latch onto to what he says, too, as I had the same feeling, like, a third of the way through this is, I gotta see this again.
Yeah, I gotta go back.
And it's because this is an incredibly dense movie.
And it's a dense 2 hours and 45 minutes.
And make no mistake, this is he made a trilogy.
Yeah.
This is a trilogy. This is everything is back to the first movie, back to the second movie, it is such a shame that, I mean, on a number of levels, obviously, that Heath Ledger passed away, because there's no doubt in my mind that there's a version of this movie where the Joker plays an incredibly large part. Because everything is addressed. But more than that, there's so many moving parts, and there's such a density to the ideas in this movie, and trying to communicate all the little story moments. I mean, this is a movie that...
Well, I just realized there's not much Batman fighting in this movie.
No, I was going to exactly mention that.
I was just thinking,
there was like a
how much Batman stuff did I really think was not that great? And I was like, I think there's only
There's very little.
Fights.
There's a full hour in this. I mean, this is a 2 hour and 45 minute film, and there's a full hour in this movie where I was sitting there going, we're not in a superhero movie.
No.
This isn't a superhero movie
No.
at all. In fact, I was like, I don't think Christopher Nolan wanted to make a superhero movie anymore because there's an hour where there's no Batman.
And it was fully captivating.
And
I was in.
But he manages to balance that, like this massive amount of time where there's no Batman.
Yeah.
With massive amounts of fan service.
Yeah.
And like Catwoman is the most Catwoman-y Catwoman
Of
you could. It is like textbook. What Catwoman is about.
Interesting.
I mean, I particularly love the little flourish of the fact that she's got the goggles, which
Yeah.
is the Jim Lee Catwoman, and they flip up and
into
create the ears.
Yeah. Genius.
Brilliant. How did
Genius.
he think of that? Amazing.
Yeah.
But more than that, there are whole characters and plot twists and things that are like totally canon. I mean, it is like lifted out.
Yeah.
The whole movie.
Is Nightfall I've been something? Are there
Well,
certain
there's
comics that you can point to?
I mean, the classic Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns. We start in that world. I mean, very like lifted whole cloth out of that tone, and let me say this too. This is an extremely dark movie. This is a not a fun experience for a long time. It is a lesson in a filmmaker taking the hero and stripping everything away from him, bringing him to complete rock bottom, and making the consequences and the stakes as high as they possibly can be, because he just is brutal to Batman. He strips everything away from him, which makes it, and then even at that point it's like, well, and then even more is taken away,
Yeah.
And we have our hero, our character, have to come back from oblivion, which is, it's like a lesson in filmmaking. There's nothing more dramatic than that. I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna
accept your agree.
That for me, this is not. It doesn't stand up to The Dark Knight. I think that the trilogy peaked in the middle. But there's so many things that he's trying to do, and so many big ideas that are trying to be conveyed, that I need to see it again. I mean, it is almost a movie. It's almost like it's not even a Batman movie for a large chunk of it, and then it's like the most Batman movie. It's the most comic booky of any of them, and yet it's completely not for so long. It's crazy.
Let me ask you guys. I
Very,
think I
very interesting.
talked to you about this in the car ride down to Comic-Con, so suffer through it again. But
I'll
I
suffer
have
through it
been
for the first time.
I have been thinking about Christopher Nolan's filmmaking, and this is not a critique of that filmmaking. It's almost a praise for that filmmaking. But I do find it fascinating that when I think of his movie, I think of Inception and the Batman movies.
Just those 4 small movies.
Just his action movies, his big action movies, that they're fantastic visual concepts, striking set pieces, but within those action scenes, there isn't actually a lot of cool action. What I mean is, love the hallway scene in Inception. It's a great image, but it lasts about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that's it. And the idea is amazing. It puts on the screen that idea, but then doesn't do anything more with it. Doesn't go in places that you wouldn't expect or whatever. Like and then also Inception, the snow sequence, and it's cool that there's a fight happening in the snow, but there isn't actually any cool choreography that you would see in an Indiana Jones movie or in some of the Mission Impossible movies or whatever.
Well,
even in Dark Knight, like the truck flips over and when he's fighting the Joker and the thing.
Yeah.
That's what's big about that. And Bad Boys 2, and like we see a million cars flipping over and all those crazy awesome things, but just one truck flipping over feels really important and amazing and whatever. But there isn't. My question to you is, in Dark Knight Rises, given what you said, do we go beyond that, or is it
there? It's a little of both. There
a couple cars flip over.
Well, the movie begins with one of the most brilliant, incredible action, just like Dark Knight did.
I will say
it's almost like a Bond beginning.
It is, although
but for the villains.
Yeah, although
like both movies.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. And visually stunning and wonderful
the
ideas.
end of that
visually stunning.
Genius. That shot where I was like, yep, have some.
But again, just like The Dark Knight was, what is the star of this movie is the concept.
Yeah.
Right.
The drama comes from the peril, the machinations of the villains, and make no mistake, Bane is terrifying. I mean, they do a great job.
He has a couple lines that are just like when
he is a force of nature that and one of these great film creations that I feel like they make him so almost unbeatable seeming that in a different way than the Joker is, right? That it doesn't have any of the humor of
Christopher
that second
Nolan,
movie.
dude. Christopher Nolan.
Do you
what?
feel in control?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I was like,
I really like this movie, and as you said, like, not love. I admire it. It's an experience I wouldn't trade for anything.
and I also may
you
fall
have to
in
see
love
it.
with it. This might be the movie equivalent to Dark Knight being the crush in high school that as soon as she walks in, you're madly in love. And this movie is the girl that you become really good friends with, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, it's been you all along.
You know
Dark
how the
Knight
Avengers
Rises?
is just a fun,
Yeah.
constantly fun.
That's not this.
You are never having fun in this movie until the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You are not having fun.
Let me ask you this.
Last 10 minutes, though,
If you're
so
a comic
fun.
book lover out there, do you and they've never seen The Avengers or Dark Knight Rises, which do you tell them to
If
go
you're a
see?
comic book lover,
Yes.
go see the characters that you love from comic books, whichever those may be.
No, but
you're gonna
I'm
see
asking you
both.
to pick one.
I think Avengers, for me, is the movie that I had the best experience watching.
But also-
this is a level of filmmaking that just and we're never gonna see a comic book movie again that feels like this, unless he does more of them. Because it doesn't feel CG. It feels models. It feels, there's CG in it, but we're not going to see that anymore. And it's a very special thing, and this trilogy is a trilogy.
And that's the other thing, too. I think you can see the Avengers. I don't think you can see Dark Knight Rises without seeing Batman Begins and Dark Knight.
That's true. I think it would be...
Well, you said the opposite about Avengers.
Well, Avengers needs
said
its,
Dark Knight
its
stands on
movies
its
too.
own, and-
Yeah, but I feel, but I also disagree with that about Avengers. I think you could sit down and watch
Well, I'm
Avengers.
gonna now go rewatch Batman Begins.
You
See it
should
in
go
IMAX
watch
if
both
you get
and
a
then go
chance.
see it, and then definitely go see.
Yeah.
Oh, I should see Dark
You
Knight
should see
Rises.
Dark Knight Rises. I think you'll
All
like
right,
it. I think
I'll
you'll like
go.
it. I think you'll like it.
See it in IMAX for real. In real
Yeah.
IMAX, not fake.
And take the slow roll to falling in love with the Dark Knight Rises.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, everybody, be sure to stick around for outtakes from this week's taping. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, Jeff Cannata.
Gamefly.
What?
Gamefly is the largest online video game rental service. Now that all the actual places that stores that you can go into to rent games have
Gone?
vanished from the earth,
Yeah, just pep.
it's because this is so much easier, so much more convenient, and they have such a wider selection. Gamefly, for example, has over 8,000 new and classic titles from across all consoles and handhelds. So chances are, if there's any game in the history of time that you have
Itching
the
to play again.
capability of playing, you could probably get them to send it to you. And it's only $15.95 a month, so you can rent from 1 to 4 games at a time, keep them as long as you want. You don't have to ever pay late fees, or
Amazing.
there's no due dates on anything.
Didn't we figure out that that was like playing a new game once every 4 months? I mean, no self-respecting video game player plays that few video
Yeah,
games.
have some respect for
what I'm saying?
yourself.
See what I'm saying?
Respect yourself. Get a subscription so you can play as many as you want. You get finished with the game, you send it back, they send you the next one. It's awesome.
Just drop it in the prep.
You can also, if you're a self-respecting PC game player,
Ooh.
you can play hundreds of PC games for free with their unlimited PC Play option. We'll hook you up with a 15-day free trial so you can check it out. You don't have to take
Nice.
our word for it. People hate our word.
Hate them.
They love checking it out.
Yep.
So check it out. Gamefly.com/TTRS. That stands for Tremendous Totally Rad Show.
Nice. New title.
Yeah.
All right, we'll
Do
see you next week.
And if they had lost, the loss would be.
That's it's
It
all for
wasn't- it wasn't-
Oh, that's all for losing loss?
I was waiting for some amazing, much like Lost, The finale.
At the end of that joke was not
really
worth it.
disappointed.
It was a really interesting way leading up to it.
The journey was exciting.
Yeah. Dan was like, it's a magic place where magic happens? Amazing. All right, game flap. All right, we'll see you next week. Watch the lights. Bang, bang.
Yeah, you don't want to date Wonder Woman because she has the lasso of truth,
Actually,
which is not a good idea in any relationship.
That's awesome.
All right.
well, she does have an invisible, like she does have cool.
Invisible jet.
Yeah. You
That
can
is
do
cool.
it in the invisible
Like
jet.
just-
Set a camera up.
Just humping in the sky.
It's awesome.
All right.
What are you doing with your fists?
Oh yeah.
What are you doing with your fists? Let's under your background.
Oh, I'm hooked.
Skimp. Bah.